Well, here we go. It has really been a trip trying to do this class tonight. There's been so much resistance on as far as the Wi-Fi and the signal because it's so much of, to me, it's because it's so much about a conversation that we're having and a conversation that we're having about Christ consciousness and the fact that we are the will of God, that we are the will of God. So this is part two of um, incarnation and resurrection. This is part two of it. I had to pause and do it again and continue from where I left off because of technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. Yes. So we are in the course of love. We are in chapter 8, the resurrection and incarnation. And I had gotten up to paragraph 3, and then the ego just went berserk and just started to mess up the broadcast. So we're at paragraph 3, incarnation and resurrection, page 225, in a course of love. So if it gets paused, just try to hang in there, and I promise I'll be back, and we can continue to go through this section. So right now in paragraph 3, I'll start over at paragraph 3. It says that resurrection and life are the same. Resurrection and life are the same. They are the same has not meant that you have an automatic realization that resurrection and life. So when I hear resurrection, I always think of someone who died, and that means ceased to exist at some level and then came back to life. And what A Course of Love is saying is that resurrection and life are the exact same thing. The fact that you are living does mean that you are resurrected. Thank you for sending me the hearts. I'm going to hang in there no matter what. That's right. That's right. Just, you can believe this, that if it goes out, then I'm coming right back as soon as I can. So thank you for your patience. But it also says that the very nature of change is one of slow realization. So don't be so hard on yourself when it looks like that you're not making a spiritual change as fast as you would like to. Actually, change occurs very slowly. And it says change occurs all around you every day without you realizing it. So does that mean that all day long you are experiencing great changes and that you've gone through great changes that you don't realize? That's exactly what's happened. It's only when you look back in retrospect and you look back over your life. When I look back over my life, I can see how much I changed. So it's only in retrospect are the greatest changes seen. And so a historical event like the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus, he says, thus the understanding of the truth of a historical event, the understanding of that changes over time, and it may take 100 or 1,000 or even 2,000 years for the real truth to be realized. Okay, so the way people look at the story of Jesus now is different from the way that people looked at the story of Jesus in the past. And sometimes it takes a couple of thousand years for us to really realize the truth. So we're at a time of recognizing an entirely different level of realization when it comes to the truth and when it comes to God and when it comes to Christ consciousness. And even though many versions of the truth have been accepted, there's only one truth. Now, that's another one of those trigger statements. There's only one truth. Didn't say there was only one way to get to the truth. I didn't say it was only one way to arrive at the truth, but I did say there's only one truth. The Course of Love says there's only one truth. There was only one truth at the time of the event of the crucifixion and the resurrection. There is only one truth when change took place, and there is only one truth in time and eternity, regardless of the variety of interpretations of the truth, regardless of the different interpretations of the truth, regardless of the different interpretations of the truth, there is only one truth in time, and there's only one truth in eternity. I personally like the idea that there's only one truth because that just means I have a lot less to remember. It's a lot easier for me to remember one truth than for me to remember 1,000 different interpretations of truth. Then I got to understand your truth. You got to understand my truth. I got to understand my brother's truth. I got to understand my friend's truth. I got to understand my boss's truth. I got to understand. In other words, I personally, it's too tiresome trying to deal with everybody else's truth. I have my truth. You have your truth. Everybody got their truth. The course of love is saying, no, there's only one truth, but there's a variety of interpretations of it. So I have come to you now to reveal the one truth. And do you know that the one truth has existed for the past 2,000 years without your comprehension of it? Do you know that the very nature of life changed with the resurrection? Do you know that you are the resurrection and that you are the life, that Jesus is the resurrection and Jesus is the life, and I am the resurrection and I am the life? Do you know that all of us are the resurrections and all of us are life? That's right. You're just one big resurrection. That's right. That's what you are. You're just one gigantic resurrection. That's what you are. And as Jesus says, as I no longer suffered the separation, you don't need to suffer the separation. Do you know that all of the pain that we go through is coming from the belief that we're separate from each other? Do you realize that all the pain that you go through in life comes from the belief that you're separate? Are you aware that all of the pain that you ever go through, and any pain that you've ever gone through, and any pain that you may be going through now, any suffering that you may be going through now, any kind of unhappiness, any kind of suffering that you are experiencing right now, that suffering, that unhappiness is actually coming from the belief that you are separate. So even though the resurrection returned not life to the form I once occupied, in other words, when you experience life again in your own personal resurrection, your body doesn't look the same way it did the last time. In other words, every time you go through what's called being born and living in a body and then dying, you continue to live, but the next body you have doesn't look like the body you used to have. So you can resurrect, but you won't look the same. It says, it returned me to you in the form of the resurrected Christ who exists in all of you. So Jesus, the Christ consciousness, exists in each and every one of us, bringing resurrection even into your forms, into your body. I became the Word incarnate, says Jesus. I became the Word incarnate upon my resurrection rather than upon my birth. Your physical birth is not the thing that really tells the truth about you. When you are living, the fact that you are alive, that's what's telling the truth about you, because life is resurrection. Resurrection is life. Now, I know this will seem confusing given your definition of incarnation as the Word made flesh. I know this can seem confusing. You may have took this to mean that flesh took on the definition of the Word or the Almighty when I became flesh and bone through birth. But here's the point. Do you want to know what the point is, even if there's a part of you saying, I don't know what the hell he's talking about? The point is, neither my birth nor my death were consequent with the Word, as the Word is I am. The Word is life eternal. Okay, so I get the theme. The theme this evening is about us believing that we have eternal life. What does eternal life mean? What does eternal life mean? You have eternal life. What does that mean? Eternal life means you do not die. You do not die. You don't ever die. You don't ever die. You do not ever die. None of your friends ever die. None of your relatives ever die. No one on earth has ever died. No one ever really dies. No one ever really ceases to exist. So my resurrection brought about the Word made flesh in each one of you. So what does that mean? It means that Jesus showed us that we look like we're human, just like he looked like he was human. And it can look like you die, just like it looks like we die, but you don't die. Life lives on. You live on. That is what you're doing right now. You are experiencing your resurrection right now because you are alive. And then A Course of Love says, you who have come after me are not as I was. You are the same way I am. You're not the way I was. You are the way I am. Then it says, does this not make sense even in your terms of evolution? Doesn't this make sense? Doesn't what make sense? Well, I'll say it again. You are the resurrection and you are the life. You are the life. You are the resurrection. You are the life. You are the resurrection. You are the life. You are the resurrection. You are the resurrection. I know you're looking for the resurrection, but you are the life. You are the resurrection. And then in chapter 8, paragraph 6, it says, how does this relate to your thinking? How does this relate to your thinking? How does this relate to your thinking? Okay, this is the way it relates. Let's hear this. You have been reborn as God-man. That means you have been reborn as God and man, or God and one man united. The resurrection is the cause and effect of the union of the human and the divine. When you recognize that you are divine, you are a divine being, and you are united with your humanness, your human being, when you see yourself as a God and man, or God and woman, then you are experiencing the resurrection. Your very life is the resurrection. Resurrection is the cause and the effect of the union of the human and divine. One of the things I love about A Course of Love is that it's not talking about the things that we focus in on all the time. It's not talking about your job. It's not talking about work. It's not talking about you wish you could get more orgasms. It's not talking about the 20 pounds you want to lose. It's not talking about the house you want to buy. It's not talking about the rumors that you're dealing with. It's not talking about anything that our ego is usually focused in on. What it's talking about is you are divine and you are human also. It's time for you to realize your divine nature, your God nature. You're completely in touch. You are completely in touch with your human nature. It's time to become aware that you are a God in flesh. You are the will of God in physical form. You are love. You are God in physical form. And the resurrection is your realizing, Earl, your realizing, mighty companion, that you are human and divine. This is accomplished. You are already what you are. You look at a horse, then a horse is already a horse. When you see a dog, the dog is already the dog. The dog isn't trying to be a dog. The dog is already a dog. You are already God. You are already divine. You are already divine. You have already accomplished that. This is in effect the way in which the man Jesus became the Christ. This is in effect the way. So now, how could one man's resurrection be the way or even the way? How could Jesus' resurrection be the way? How can resurrection provide a path for you to follow? How can resurrection provide a path for you to follow? You got to see the link between resurrection and incarnation, which is the link between resurrection and the birth of the God-man. Your being alive is going to lead to the birth of you as a God being and a human being merged at the same time. In other words, the heart and the mind, the heart and the mind are going to unite, and the heart and the mind joined in union accomplished the reunion of the separated self with God. Do you know that when your mind and your heart are joined, then that is the reunion of your separated self with your Creator. When my mind is not in conflict with my heart, when my mind is not in conflict with my heart, then I am experiencing the reconnection between me and my source. When I'm no longer in conflict because my mind and my heart are both aligned, then I am experiencing the resurrection. You are experiencing the resurrection when your heart and your mind are united. The resurrection was evidence of this accomplishment. And if you took the word life and substituted the word life every time you saw the term resurrection, it would give you an entirely different understanding of the term resurrection. Look at the term resurrection and look at the term life, and look at those two things as if they are synonymous. So if you are alive, you are resurrected. If you are alive, you are resurrected. Think about that. Think about that. If you are alive, you are resurrected, because it says the resurrection is life. So the fact that you have life means that you are resurrected. The fact that you have life means that you have died and have been reborn. The fact that you have life shows that you are a combination of the divine and the human. You are already an accomplished spiritual being. So, it says the resurrection was evidence of this accomplishment. The resurrection laid aside death's claim, and with it, the claim of all that is temporary. So your life, your resurrection, absolutely gets rid of the idea that you could die. Your life actually gets rid of the idea that you can die. And also, as you recognize that you are something that is permanent, that you are something that cannot die, you are going to lose your interest in having things that are temporary, things that come and go, things that begin and end are not as important to you when you recognize your divinity and you recognize you are something that is permanent. Not the body. You are something that is permanent. So it says the resurrection was witnessed as the proof required, much as proof has been offered to you now in the form of miracles. How could one rise from the dead and others not follow? How could one child of God rise from the dead and not every one of us have the ability to rise from the dead? Remember, there is nothing our Creator gives to any one of us that all of us do not share and have access to. There is nothing that one child of God has that the rest of the children of God do not have. You have the exact same powers and abilities that Jesus had. You have the exact same powers and abilities that Buddha, any great spiritual master, has. You have the exact same powers and abilities as every other being on the face of the earth. So therefore, if whatever one of us can do, all of us can do. If one of us can be innocent, then all of us can be innocent. If one of us can experience true love, then all of us can experience true love. Illusion is the death you need but arise from. The illusion, the false ideas that you have about yourself, the false ideas that you have about yourself, the false beliefs that you have about yourself, that's death. Your death is believing that you are limited. Your death is believing that you are just a human only that is born, grows old, and dies. Death is the idea that you can be killed. So the illusion, the false ideas that you have about yourself, that is what you must resurrect from. That is what you must rise from. Arise and awaken to your resurrected self. And what is a resurrected self? A resurrected self is a self that knows that it is alive and that it shall always be alive, even if the body is destroyed. There is no longer a Godhead for you to follow, for you to follow, for you to follow into paradise. Take not the examples of any of these, and know instead the example of woman, of Mary, of the mother of God. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mary. We're going to talk about the mother of God. We're going to talk about the example of woman at another level. What is a mother but she who incarnates, makes spirit flesh through her own spirit flesh, makes spirit flesh through union? A mother, a woman, the divine feminine, she makes spirit flesh through her own spirit flesh. And a woman makes spirit flesh through union. That you have in your version of creation, you've made it necessary for a woman to join with man in sex in order for new life to come forth. In our version of creation, a man and a woman have to have sex in order for new life to be born. This is just another example of how your memory of creation was made to serve what you would have come to be. In other words, the separated self, your separated self, could not exist in separation. So what did you do? You created a way in which other separated forms could come into existence and live with you in separation. What do you mean? That you recognize union as a prerequisite to creation is proof of your memory's tenacity and the failure of illusion to completely rid you of what you know. Even though it looks like we're separate from each other and that we have our separate self, even in this version of creation that we have made where it looks like we are humans and bodies, even in this illusion of us being separate from each other, we still came up with the idea of man and woman having to join or have sex in order for a life or a creation to be born, which witnesses to the fact that there's a part of us that knows that creation comes through union and joining and not through separation. So the virgin birth, so what did the virgin birth represent? It was thus a necessary step. Hearing about the virgin birth was a necessary step in reclaiming the real act of creation, which is the bringing forth. What is the real act of creation? It's the bringing forth of the new through the union with the divine self. So what are we doing here tonight? We are bringing forth the new through uniting with our divine God self. So we are having that's why it's called a virgin birth, because the joining that's taking place, the sex that's taking place, is you with you. It's the union that you are achieving with your own divine self is creating a new you, and that's why it's called a virgin birth, because it doesn't involve anybody else in order for this birth to take place, because this birth that's going to take place is you uniting with you, your mind joining with your heart, your reconnection with yourself creates a new you. And so that's why it's called a virgin birth, because it didn't necessarily require you uniting with someone else that's separate from you in order for a new life to be born. Whether you believe the virgin birth really happened or not doesn't matter. Whether or not you believe Jesus existed or not doesn't matter. In reality, have no concrete distinction in the illusion within which you live. In other words, see, with this stuff, You never have to stop and analyze it. It already knows the questions that are going to come up in your mind. So if you keep on going and don't let yourself be distracted by the analytical ego mind, then whatever questions that come up, those questions are going to be answered. For instance, in other words, you live as much by myth as you live by truth. And sometimes myth often more accurately reflects the truth than what you would call real. But this isn't a call. This is not a call, however. I'm not asking you to embrace a myth. I'm asking you tonight to embrace the truth. What is the truth? The truth is you have already resurrected, that Jesus resurrected for all of us. All great spiritual masters have resurrected for all of us. And what that means is they set a shining example that who you are is divine and who you are does not die. And that human self that you think you are, you are not just that human self you think you are. You are God. All of you. All of you are God. And you are God manifesting in a body as you. When I look at you, I'm looking at one manifestation of the will of God. That's what you are. And you never die. The body appears to die. The body appears to die. You don't have one relative that's dead. You don't have one friend that's dead. They are just not manifesting in the body. The body was dropped. So your virgin birth is you reuniting with your own divine self in order to give birth to a brand new you. Mary is called upon now as the myth to end all myths, for in this example life alone is the key to the riddle provided. What does it mean? What does this mean? You are each called to return to your virgin state. Okay, that's going to be quite the accomplishment for me to turn back into a virgin again. Wow. All right. Okay. I thought I was way beyond the statute of limitations for that one. Okay, so anyway, here we go. All right. A bunch of y'all being a virgin again, you know that's going to be a real stretch. You know that, right? Okay, but that's it's going to be a stretch for a bunch of y'all to see yourselves as a virgin again. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're totally innocent. You're totally innocent. You're totally resurrected. No problem. All right. All right. Okay, y'all ready? Mighty companion. Mighty companion. Okay, we're going to go back to our virgin state. So, what is a true virgin state? What is a true virgin state when it comes to spirituality? That's returning to a state that is unaltered by the idea that you're separate. I'm going to let go of the idea that I'm separate. I'm going to let go of the idea that I'm separate and different from you. I'm going to let go of the idea that I'm separate and different from you. I'm going to let go of the idea that I'm separate and different from you. And that would be me returning to my virgin state. That's a state in which what is begotten through having a union with your source, through having a union with God. So you are a virgin when everything that you beget is begotten from God. When I see everything that I have, everything that I experience, when I believe that everything that I have only comes from God, everything that I am is God, when I'm reunited with my divine self, when I'm no longer seeing myself as separate from my source, then I am back to my virgin state. And it is from this unaltered state that you are free to resurrect. When you get back to that state where you see yourself as only God, only love, and you are constantly sourced by love, you're constantly sourced by God. When you see yourself as the will of God in physical form, then you are ready for your resurrection. And don't forget, what did the course of love tell us that resurrection means? Resurrection means life. So when I say resurrection, I'm talking about life. that you have life, that you are resurrected. And so it is through the blessed Virgin Mary's resurrection in form that the new pattern of life is revealed. Okay, so how is the new pattern of life revealed? So don't forget to interact. Don't forget to talk to each other about what we're saying. Try to stay focused in on it, because I'm seeing your comments and it has inspired me, because a lot of you are letting me know that you're really with me and that you're having a profound experience of what's being said, because you're letting yourself hear it as opposed to focusing in on analyzing it, because the principles are really quite simple when you think about it. That it says you are going to represent the blessed Virgin Mary's resurrection in form. So what does that mean? Okay, I'm going to claim right now that I am a divine being that has a human form. And I'm also going to declare right now that when my body dies, I do not die. I'm going to also claim right now that I know that I'm resurrected because I'm friggin' alive. And I couldn't be alive unless I resurrected from the state I was in before I came here. So I am resurrected. I'm going to take back my virginity. So you're looking at I'm now a virgin. I am now a virgin, and you are now a virgin, because you are uniting your human self with your divine self, and then uniting your human self with your divine self is going to give birth to a new you. And so that's the virgin birth, the birth of the new you that came from a uniting with yourself, as opposed to a uniting with something or someone outside of yourself. But the fact that even in our separate state, we want to join physically or join in other ways with other people, that's because there's a part of us at a soul level that remembers that true creation comes through oneness and union. So that's why even while we are having this experience of being separate human beings, trying to join with each other physically, sexually, and otherwise, that's a representation of the fact that somewhere deep inside of us, we know that creation and love comes from joining and not from separating. Okay. All right. That's awesome. Then it says in paragraph 14 in chapter 8, the new pattern of life is the ability to resurrect in form. So what is the new pattern? That you can continue to resurrect. You can continue to live in form. The ability to resurrect is the ability to resurrect in life. The ability to live and resurrect right now. So if you want to really express your resurrection, you need to start really living your life right now. You need to start experiencing your life as joyfully and as sensationally and in a more fulfilling way than you've ever experienced your life before. And then ask yourself, what is life presenting to me right now? What's showing up in my life right now? Because the new pattern of life is what? The ability to resurrect in form, which means resurrect in the body. The new pattern of life is the ability to resurrect in life, and the ability to resurrect right now. So the glory that is yours, that is returned to you in life, thus is the glory that is yours returned to you in life. Let the glory that is yours return to you in life. Let the glory that is yours return to you in life. Let the glory that is yours return to you in life. Let the glory that is yours return to you in life. Let the glory that is yours return to you in life. Let the glory that is yours return to you in life. Let the glory that is yours return to you in life. Let the glory that is mine return to me in life. Let the glory that is mine return to me in life. Let the glory that is mine return to me in life. Let the glory that is mine return to me in life. rather than in death. You know, it's like, why do we always praise everybody after they die? Why do we always freak out on people and say how great they were after they die? Why can't the glory that is yours be returned to you in your life while you are living? Why should you have to die for people to say something good about you? He's dead. Good. You don't want it that way. You know what I'm talking about, because you want the glory that is yours returned to you in life. So it says the male provided, we're down to the last two paragraphs. Here we go. The male provided the manifestation or the effect of the cause created by the female in the virgin birth. Jesus says, my mother Mary was responsible for the incarnation of the Christ in me, and I am responsible for the incarnation of the Christ in you. So it's really this union of the male and female is but union of the parts of yourself. So you as a female, me as a male, but you can have a male body and be female primarily on the inside, and you can have a female body and be primarily male on the inside. So sometimes the identification of the masculine and the feminine doesn't necessarily correspond with the physical body, but in most cases it does. So the joining of the male and the female is just is a representation of the joining of all parts of yourself. So, and that's being expressed in form. That's being expressed in a story. That is being expressed, in other words, in a visual pattern that aids your understanding of the invisible. Everything that you see physically is a visual pattern that aids your understanding of the invisible. A book like The Course of Love is helping you understand what's invisible. It is time for you to get in touch with what's invisible. It is time for you to stop denying the reality of life that is invisible. It is time to start to give much more thought to the invisible. The things that you're looking at in the visible, like this book, is helping you to be able to get in touch with the ideas and the beings and the consciousness and the awarenesses that are in the invisible. It is one more demonstration of the union that returns you to your natural state. It's just one more demonstration that cause and effect are the same thing in truth. It's just one more demonstration of what needs to occur right now in this time in order for the truth of the resurrection to be revealed and to be lived. The union of the male and the female, representing the fact that we know it's through union and oneness that we give birth to what is new and what is real. Everything that you're physically looking at is supposed to be helping you understand that which is beyond your physical sight and beyond your physical senses. Your physical senses only report to you a very limited spectrum of what really exists. Your physical senses are the least accurate way to see and experience what's going on. But we're supposed to use everything that we are experiencing with our physical senses to bring us back to our own resurrection, which is recognizing that you are an infinite, eternal being who never dies, that is divine and also has a human form. And you are God manifested as you. God wanted to have an experience of God as you. The Creator, and I'm not talking about a man or a woman or a person. The Creator, what this is, all that this is, everything behind what this is, it wanted to manifest itself as you. So, last paragraph. We have talked thus far of union of heart and mind. Do you know that we've talked about uniting your heart with your mind? We've been talking about uniting your heart with your mind. Lest you think that this union is not all encompassing. This union encompasses everything. The union that I want to unite with all of you. But I can't unite with all of you in the body and physically. It's impossible to physically unite with everybody. I tried that in the 80s. It doesn't work. Okay, so you can't physically unite with everybody. But the joining that we are being asked to take part in, that joining is all encompassing. We will reflect a moment here, right now. We're going to reflect a moment on how the art of thought brings all you have seen as parts of yourself, such as seeing yourself as male and seeing yourself as female, conception and action, inspiration and manifestation, together into the wholehearted. So what are we doing? What is the resurrection? The resurrection is a way of thinking also that has seen parts of the one self, such as male and female, conception and action, inspiration and manifestation, together into the wholehearted. You are tonight, you join your masculine and your feminine, your divine self and your human self. You are alive. You are manifested. You are God. You are God. Everyone is God. God manifesting as everyone. God manifesting as you. It's all inclusive. There is only God. There is only love. There is only God. But we have different interpretations. We have different interpretations of that one truth. We have different interpretations about what that means. And it's the interpretations that we have that separates us. The truth is, we are not separate at all. It's just that we are fooled by the perceptions that we see with our physical eyes. And I'm going to do a really quick recap of the powerful points of this section, because I know that this evening could have been a challenge for some of you, but I believe that I think it really went deep, because it really went deep for me. I can feel something going on inside of me right now, and it's not indigestion. It's really a bubbling, but it's a different kind of bubbling. It's a bubbling that's coming from my soul. It's a bubbling that I hope is coming from your soul. My function on this planet is to be a teacher of God, a messenger of God, a messenger of truth. That is my love. And I do this full time. This is what I do in the world. And I'd like to ask you to make a financial expression of appreciation. I would really appreciate that. God, all of us are God. And if you would feel in your heart to do that, please go to earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy.com. You can do it there. Also, sign up for my contact list, because Spirit is downloading some incredible workshops right now through me and in me that's going to be off the friggin' chain. So you want to make sure you know about those, because they'll also be available online. So go to my website, sign up for my contact list. Here's another thing. I have been doing personal counseling sessions for almost 40 years using all of this material and my knowledge of astrology and numerology, which is really awesome. So you might consider having a clarity session, as I call them, with me, a one-on-one with me, to get past some blocks that you have just had it with, and some patterns you want to have changed, so you can realize your true self and your true power. Go to my website. It explains everything I do, including mentoring. So and also the music that you heard is from John Christmas, and you can go to johnchristmas.com and download it for free. That's right, johnchristmas.com, johnchristmas.com. So let's do a quick recap. It's so good that you all were here with me tonight. I mean, this evening, it's been awesome. The ego tried its darndest to interfere tonight, and I saw you all refuse to give it up. So even when the Wi-Fi and the broadcast was paused and interrupted, you all hung in there. And always do that. I'll be back. I'll be back. Just hang in there. This is my greatest joy. This is my greatest pleasure, is being with you. I love and appreciate you. I love and appreciate you. And when I say that, I'm not talking about I want to get anything from you. When I say I love you, what I'm saying is I totally appreciate your butt. I totally appreciate you. So what did we hear tonight? Incarnation and resurrection. Incarnation and resurrection. So the first thing that I remember that I was told was that what Jesus did was showed us exactly who we are. Basically, Jesus showed us who we are. The great spiritual teachers, the great spiritual masters show us who we are. He showed us who we are. He appeared to be a man, he appeared to grow up, and he appeared to die, and he appeared to go through crucifixion. And let me tell you, when you're upset and unhappy about one thing or another, then you are also going through a crucifixion. And he showed us that who we really are, we are not bodies, and that who we really are, the truth, the spirit, our true beings, cannot be killed and cannot be destroyed. Our true being cannot be killed, and our true self cannot be destroyed. He showed us that. He represented an example life, an example life. And then he told us that we are now supposed to join our heart and our minds. We're supposed to join our hearts and our minds. And we were also told that resurrection is the same as living. So the fact that you are alive means that you are resurrected. You had an existence before you came here. You had an existence before you came into your body. You lived before your body did. And you died to that experience to be reborn in this one. So your very physical life is a witness that you are resurrected, that you are resurrection, that you are life. And then what else did I hear? I was also told that our desire to physically join, whether it's sexually or any other way, even though it looks like we're separate beings, that is us having a soul memory of the truth. And the truth is we don't create anything without joining. We don't create anything without connecting. And so sex and any kind of physical joining is a reminder that we know that it's through uniting that we create. It's through uniting that we love. And then we were told about the feminine and how it represents the virgin birth. And all of us, regardless of what we've done in the past, we became virgins tonight. And we became virgins together. So what does it mean to become a virgin? It means that you take your human self, your human self, and you unite that with your divine self. You take your female self and you unite it with your male self. You join with God again. You reunite with the divine self within you. And that joining will create a brand new life, a brand new pattern, a brand new you. And since it only entails you uniting with you, in a sense, you having sex with you having spiritual joining with you, and then that produced the new you, that's why it's called a virgin birth. It's called a virgin birth because it didn't have anything to do with joining with anything or anybody outside of yourself. You are resurrected. God is the life. God is your life. You are the will of God. You are God. You are God manifested in a physical form. You are the will of God. You are the will of love. You are the will of God. It's time to connect your divine self with your spiritual self. Yes, 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 yes. Andrea, Gemma, Janet, all of you that's online right now, I appreciate you. And remember that you have one life and that you share with God. You have one life and you share it with God, with love, with peace, with joy. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are a virgin. I know that you didn't think it was possible, but you are a virgin, even though you didn't know it was possible, because you are united. You are united with yourself. We are one self, united with our Creator. You are one self, united with your Creator. You are one self, united with your Creator. I am one self, united with my Creator. I am one self, united with my Creator. I'm so glad that you were here live, and we were here live. Couldn't you just feel each other? I could feel you. Could you feel me? Incarnation and resurrection. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for hanging in there, even with the technical difficulties. So Hira, hello. Gemma, hello. I appreciate you. And may the course be with you. And know that 7 p.m. on Thursday, Mountain Time, is a course of love. 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, Mountain Time, is a way of mastery. And 1 p.m. on Sunday, Mountain Time, is my course, A Course in Miracles class. And may the course be with you. I felt the love too, Dana. Sure did.